Alright, when we talk about the angle measures and measures of angles, we typically talk about degrees. And we all know that there are 360 degrees in one circle. Common knowledge, we've been working with it for a while. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start to work with radians instead of degrees. And radian is just a different measure of an angle. And what a radian is kind of dependent upon the size of the radian, or the size of the circle. So radian, radius, there's a relation there, and there's supposed to be a relation there. The radian, 1 radian is based upon the radius of the circle. So 1 radian is going to be, the arc will be the same as the radius of the circle. So the angle created by the arc of the radius is what a radian is. And that's just a little bit of knowledge because it is a little complicated as to what a radian is. There are 2 pi radians in one circle, which means if we look at this half circle here, we can see there are just over 3 of these radians in there, which would make that pi, because that's what is in half of the circle, right? If we divide our circle in half, we should divide our 2 radians in half. And remember, pi is about 3.14, which we can see 3 and some change is about what we got when we do our radians, just when we split up our radians in our half circle. Now, a radian and a degree, they're both just ways to measure angles. It would be like using feet or inches. Both ways you're going to get a measurement. Both ways that measurement's going to be the same. The only difference now is the unit that we're representing it in. And radians and degrees work that way as well. And now we can convert from degrees to radians and from radians to degrees. Either way, we'll be able to do that, just like we can convert from feet to inches. From feet to inches, we just need that conversion factor. We need to know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. That way we can convert back and forth. For degrees and radians, the conversion constant is going to be pi over 180. If you were converting from degrees, so let's say I had 60 degrees and I want to convert it into radians, I'm going to use the constant pi over 180. And the way I like to do it is whatever I'm starting with, which is degrees, the opposite should be on the bottom. So I should have degrees on the top and bottom. That'll cancel out, and I'll be left with 60 pi over 180. Now obviously we're not going to leave it like that. We're going to simplify it down. 60 and 180 can both be divided by 60. 60 divided by 60 is just 1, so I'll have pi on top. 180 divided by 60 is 3. So 60 degrees is equal to pi over 3 in radians. And I got that just by using my conversion factor here. Now if I want to go the other way around, go from radians to degrees, I'm going to use that same coefficient, except I'm going to flip it now, which makes sense because remember, if I started with radians, that means I've got my pi on top, and I want to cancel out that pi. So I want to cancel these out, and I want to be left with only degrees. So I'll divide these out. That'll cancel that pi. 2 times 180 is 360. Divided by 3 is going to give me 120 degrees. So this is a simple conversion. And remember, not changing the measure at all. We're just representing it with a different unit.